Hi everyone, welcome to College Entrance Exam Review Series. In this tutorial series, we are going to answer questions about basic algebra and arithmetic with some explanation. This is part 4 of 10 with the topic of algebraic techniques. So let's start. Question number 1. Factor this expression. So in factoring polynomial expression, all you need to do is first is to write the polynomial expression. The very first thing you will do is to see if there is a common monomial factor between the terms. So in this case, all of the numbers are divisible by 3. So let's have 3. And all of the terms as well is divisible by x because all of them have x on their terms. So 3x. So now we know that 3x is one of the factor. Now let's try to factor this out by dividing 3x on each term. 6x squared divided by 3x. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. X squared divided by x is x, copy the plus sign. 3x squared divided by 3x. So cancel 3x. So we are left with y squared. Then 12, copy the negative sign. So 12 divided by 3 is 4, and x divided by x is 1. So we have this factor. So the answer is letter C. Number 2, factor this expression. So again, let's try that. X squared minus 10x plus 24. There is no common monomial factor for this. We call this expression as quadratic trinomial. So the step on factoring is this. Create two sets of parentheses. Then factor the first term. The factor of first term, x squared, is x here and x here. Now look at the sign of the last term. If it is positive, the possibilities of the factor it is two negative, negative times negative, because this is positive, or two positive. Now how do we know which one of our sign that we're going to consider? All you have to do is to look at the second term. If it is negative, then both signs are negative. Now what is the factor of 24? That if you add up, the answer will be 10. So the factor of 24 that you're going to add up is if you're going to add up the equal to 10 is 6 multiplied by 4. 6 multiplied by 4 is 24. But if we put add that, 6 plus 4 is 10. So we'll consider 6 and 4. So this is now our factor. To check it, you just use FOIL to multiply both binomial to each other, and if you get this as your answer, then you are correct. In this case, the answer is letter B. Number 3, factor this expression again. So we have 18x squared minus 32y squared. Again, look at for a common monomial factor. In this case, the common monomial factor for this is 2 because 18 is divisible by 2. 32 is also divisible by 2. And no variables are divisible both sides. We have 2. Then 18 divided by 2 is 9. Copy the x squared. Minus 32 divided by 2 is 16. Y squared. Now we're not done yet because as you can see, this expression is a difference of two squares. How can I say that? If this first term is a perfect square and this second term is also a perfect square and there's a minus sign between them, so this is a difference of two squares. The rule for answering difference of two squares is this: x squared minus y squared. All you have to do is to create two sets of parentheses, add a plus sign on the first parenthesis and negative sign on the next parenthesis. So that you now get the square root of the first term, which is x, and you get the square root of the last term, which is y. So we will do this process here. So we have 2, then we have two sets of parentheses, one a plus sign and one another minus sign. So what is the square root of 9x squared? The square root of 9 is 3. The square root of x squared is x. So we have 3x. Now what is the square root of 16y squared? The square root of 16 is 4. The square root of y squared is y. So 4y. So we have this answer. Or in this case, for the choices, we have letter A as our factor. Number 4. This expression, when factor completely becomes. So we're going to factor this out. So again, please write it. 6ac squared minus 18a plus 3bc squared minus 9b. Now, what we're going to do is to regroup this in such a way that we could regroup the terms that has a common monomial factor. So in this case, we will combine this and this because they have common monomial factor of c squared or 3c squared. So let's write that c 6ac squared plus you will carry out the sign of this 3bc squared and minus 18a minus 9b. Now let's regroup this. I will be grouping this and I will be grouping this. And I will use the sign negative minus sign to for this equation. So we have 6ac squared plus 3bc squared. Now I will divide this both side by negative sign. So minus. So 18a divided by negative 1, we have 18a. Negative 18a divided by negative 1 is 18. You know, negative 9b divided by negative 1 is positive 9b. So now if you just think of it that if you multiply it, if you distribute it, you'll going to get this kind of expression. So now we have this. Now let's check for common monomial factor for each for each group. Let us start first with this. So the common polynomial factor for this is 2c. No, 3c squared. Now let's divide this. 6 divided by, so we have 3c squared. Then 6 divided by 3, that is 2. Copy A. Then c will become 1 plus 3 divided by 3, that is 1. No need for us to write that. Then b. Then c squared divided by c squared is 1. So no need for us to write that. In this case, this one is divisible by 9. So we have 9. Then 18 divided by 9 is 2a. Plus 9b divided by 9 is b. Now, as you can see, if we consider these two as a monomial, this monomial is divisible, has a common factor of, of 3 and 2a plus b. So 3 plus 2a plus b. Now let's divide that. Let's write first the factor that we have 3, 2a plus b. That is in the bottom. Now let's cancel this. Cancel 3 and we can get c squared. And this one, 9 divided minus, let's copy the minus. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Then cancel it. So we have this factor. So that is the answer number 4 or letter A. Number 5, the radical expression root 32 c raised to 7 when simplified becomes. Again, to answer this, let's factor out the elements inside the radical in such a way that there would be a perfect square. Now, the factor of 32 that has a perfect square is 16 multiplied by 2. So that is the factor of it. Now, the factor of c raised to 7 that that has a perfect square is c raised to 6 times c. So if we multiply this, it will become c raised to 7. Now let's bring out 16 and c raised to 6. The square root of 16 is 4. The square root of c raised to 6 is c raised to 3. Now we are left inside with 2c. So this will be our expression. So that is letter D. Number 5. This is we were going to square a binomial. To square a binomial, all we have to do is to do this method. Where a, we're going to get the square root of a, copy the sign, uh, minus 2, multiply by a, and multiply by b. Or multiply by the first term and the last term. And the last one is plus b squared. Now let's try to do it here. Square root of 3y minus square root of 3 squared. Now what is the square root of the first term? The square root of the first term is 3y. Because 3y, square root of 3y multiplied by root of 3y is 3y. What is the second term? Copy the sign. Minus time multiplied by 2. Then first term, we have 3y. Multiply by the second term, which is root 3. And last term is plus. What is the square root of 3? That 3, root 3, that is 3. Then let's simplify this. So 3y. So 2, this first muna. 3y multiplied by 3. Can we get 9 root 9y? So the square root of 9 is 3. So 3 root y. So this is 3 root y. So 3 root y multiplied by 2, we have negative 6 root y plus 3. So our answer is letter C. Now let's go to number 7. X over k plus x over h. Now to answer this, in adding fraction, all we need to do is to have the same denominator. In this case, we're going to find the LCD of k and h. All you have to do is to multiply them. So we have kh or hk as our denominator. Now copy the plus sign. Now kh divided by k is h. Multiply by x, we have xh. Now again, hk divided by h is k. Multiply by x, we have xk. So this will be our sum. So in that case, we're going to have letter D as our answer. Because this one is interchangeable. Number 8, the expression 6y over root 3y is also equal to this 6y over root of 3y. We need to rationalize it and we need to remove the radical symbol on the denominator. That's the first thing that we will do. So all we have to do is to multiply it by root 3y over root 3y. So in this case, 6y times root 3y is 6y root 3y. Then root 3y times root 3y is equal to 3y. Now let's try to divide y and y. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. So we have the answer 2 root 3y. So this will be our answer. 2 root 3y. So that is letter B. On number 9, let's find the value of x of this expression. So we have 1 over y and 1 over x plus 1 over 3. All we have to do is to multiply both sides by the LCDs of this expression. Again, to get the LCD, let's just multiply y, x, and 3. So we have 3xy. So this will be on the first 3xy. On the left side, y is being cancelled. So 3x times 1 is 3x equal. And this first, So the first term of the on the right side, cancel x, and we have 3y. 3y. On the second term, multiply, cancel 3, and what's left is xy. So plus xy. So in this case, let's put x on the left side, on one side, so that we could we could get the value of x. So let's subtract xy on both sides, so that this xy will be here on this side. So we have 3x minus xy is equal to 3y. Now let's factor this. We have 3x minus xy is equal to 3y. So let's factor this out. The common monomial factor is x. So we have x multiplied by 3 minus y equal to 3y. Now let's divide both sides by 3 minus y. So the value of our x is 3y over 3 minus y. And that is letter A. Number 10, simplify the expression. It seems that the expression is somehow complicated, but all we need to do is to factor this out first. So the factor of this, again, this is a quadratic trinomial. All you have to do is to put two parentheses. Now the square root of x is x, factor of x squared is x. Now, since this is negative, so meaning one sign is positive and one sign is negative. Now, what is the factor of 4? If you're going to minus, the answer is negative 3. So the factor of 4 is 2 times 2. If you subtract it to each other, the answer is 0. So this is not our factor. So let's try 4 times 1. So 4 minus 1 is equal to 3. 4 minus 1 is equal to 3. So we'll get 4 and 1. Now, the problem is, where do we put 4 and where do we put 1? Now, look at the sign of this. If this is negative, then put the greater number on the negative side. So we will put 4 here and 1 here. On the denominator of the first expression, again, this is a quadratic trinomial. The factor of x squared is x. Now look at the sign of the last term. It's positive. It's either both positive or both negative for our sign. And let's look at the second term. For this is positive, so therefore we will write positive here. Now what is the factor of 2? That if we're going to add, the answer is, the sum is 3. That is 1 and 2. Now let's multiply it to the other expression. Again, quadratic trinomial. What is the factor of x squared? That is x. Now this is a negative sign. So meaning one is positive and one is negative. Now what is the factor of 6 that if we're going to subtract? The answer is 1. So the factor of 6 is 3 and 2. So 3 minus 2 is 1. So now the problem is, where do we put 3 and where do we put 2? Now look at the side of the second term. If it is positive, then put the larger number on the positive side. So 3 and this one is 2. Now for the last one, we have x squared minus x minus 12. Factor out x squared, that is x. Now this is negative. So therefore, one positive, one negative. Now, what is the factor of 12 that if you're going to subtract, the answer is 1. So that is 4 times 3. So we subtract 1. Now, put 4 on the negative side because the sign of the second term is negative. So let's put 4 here and let's put 3 here. Now we have now our factor. We now factor our expression. Now let's see if we could cancel out some terms. So x plus 1, we could cancel out this. They have x plus 3, we could cancel out this. We have x minus 4, so we cancel out this. So we are left with x minus 2 over x plus 2. So this will be our answer. And that is letter C. Again, thank you for your time and hope you learned something. For our next episode, for our next video, we're going to tackle about quadratic equations and inequalities. That's all for today. Bye.